This is Len Marshall for Independence, with another important issue, the idea of a new constitutional convention. This presentation was totally generated by Predraft.ai and appears to be the most even-handed discussion that I have ever seen on the subject. While the benefits could be many, the dangers posed to our country completely disqualify it as a viable idea. The pros and cons of holding a U.S. constitutional convention. Exploring the implications and potential impact. Introduction. A constitutional convention is a gathering of representatives to revise or draft a constitution. The topic of holding a constitutional convention is a subject of ongoing debates and controversies. It is crucial to understand the pros and cons of such an event to make informed decisions about its feasibility and potential impact. Holding a constitutional convention is often seen as a way to bring about significant changes in the political and governmental systems. It provides an opportunity to address critical issues that the legislature may not prioritize and allows for the enactment of reforms that can improve the functioning and effectiveness of the government. However, there are also concerns about the potential negative consequences and risks associated with a constitutional convention. It is important to consider both the advantages and disadvantages before making a decision on whether to hold such an event. Pros of holding a constitutional convention. One of the key advantages of holding a constitutional convention is that it involves new individuals in politics, bringing fresh perspectives and ideas to the table. This infusion of new voices can lead to innovative solutions and a more inclusive decision-making process. By including a diverse range of representatives, a constitutional convention can ensure that the interests and concerns of different groups are taken into account when drafting or revising a constitution. Additionally, a constitutional convention offers a potential solution to fix dysfunctional government systems. It provides an opportunity to address critical issues that the legislature may not prioritize, allowing for the enactment of ethics and home rule reforms, rectification of gerrymandering, and updating of voter registration laws. These reforms can help improve the functioning and effectiveness of the government, making it more transparent, accountable, and responsive to the needs and wishes of the people. Furthermore, a constitutional convention enables the revisiting of term limits and the protection of social rights. This can lead to a more responsive and accountable government that better represents the interests of its citizens. For example, a constitutional convention could explore the possibility of implementing term limits for elected officials, preventing the concentration of power in the hands of a few individuals, and promoting a more dynamic and democratic political system. Cons of holding a constitutional convention. One of the arguments against holding a constitutional convention is the belief that state government problems are caused by individuals rather than the Constitution itself. Critics argue that a convention may not address the root causes of the issues and could potentially divert attention and resources from more pressing matters. They suggest that instead of focusing on a constitutional convention, efforts should be directed towards electing responsible and capable leaders who can effectively address the challenges faced by the government. Another concern is the potential rollback on collective bargaining rights, state pensions, and civil liberties. Opponents worry that a constitutional convention may lead to unintended consequences that undermine existing rights and protections. There are also concerns about potential changes to pensions, which can impact the livelihoods of many citizens. It is important to carefully consider the potential risks and consequences of a constitutional convention to ensure that fundamental rights and protections are not compromised. Uncertainty about the cost of the convention and alternative uses of the funds is another factor to consider. Estimates of the cost vary, and there are debates about whether the allocated funds could be better utilized in other areas such as infrastructure, education, healthcare, or other government services. It is important to weigh the potential benefits of a constitutional convention against the costs and consider whether the funds could be allocated more effectively to address other pressing needs of society. Furthermore, critics argue that holding a constitutional convention means relinquishing control over the process to individuals outside the established legislative framework. This lack of control raises concerns about the influence of special interest groups or powerful individuals on the convention's outcome. It is important to ensure that the decision-making process of a constitutional convention is transparent, accountable, and representative of the interests of the people, to avoid undue influence and ensure that the outcomes of the convention are in the best interest of the public. Historical examples of constitutional conventions. There have been several historical examples of constitutional conventions that have shaped the course of governance in different regions. The Philadelphia Convention of 1787 is a notable example, as it led to the drafting of the United States Constitution and established the framework for the American government. The convention brought together representatives from different states to address the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation and create a new constitution that would better serve the needs of the nation. In more recent times, the 1997 Scottish devolution referendum paved the way for the establishment of the Scottish Parliament. The referendum allowed the people of Scotland to decide on the creation of a devolved legislature and executive, giving them more control over their own affairs. The 2012 Icelandic Constitutional Assembly aimed to rewrite the country's constitution, allowing citizens to actively participate in shaping their government. These examples highlight the significance of constitutional conventions in shaping the political landscape and providing opportunities for democratic participation and decision-making. Potential impact on the U.S. Constitution. Holding a constitutional convention in the United States could open the possibility for amendments and changes to the existing U.S. Constitution. It may lead to a re-evaluation of the balance of power between the federal government and the states, as well as address contemporary social and political challenges. For example, a constitutional convention could explore the possibility of implementing campaign finance reform to address concerns about the influence of money in politics. It could also consider measures to strengthen the protection of civil rights and liberties, ensuring that the Constitution remains relevant and effective in safeguarding the rights of all citizens. However, the potential benefits and drawbacks of altering the Constitution need to be carefully considered to ensure the preservation of fundamental rights and the stability of the nation. It is important to engage in informed and inclusive discussions to weigh the potential impacts of a constitutional convention and make decisions that reflect the best interests of the people. The process of holding a constitutional convention should be transparent, accountable, and representative to ensure that all voices are heard and that the outcomes of the convention reflect the will of the people. The potential impact on the U.S. Constitution should be viewed through the lens of enhancing democracy, protecting rights, and promoting the common good. Read about the disaster of the original Constitutional Convention. We became a country only by sheer luck and the perseverance of a few good men. Available on Amazon/ASIN 1540418535.